What I'm about to tell you is one of the messiest royal stories right now. And trust me, it is not what anyone expected. Because imagine this, Prince Harry, who is out of everyone's life, is now being pulled into a legal issue, not by the media, not by the royal family, but by his own charity organization. Yes, the same charity organization he created to honor Princess Diana. So the real question is, what actually went wrong behind the scenes? So stay with me, because this story keeps getting deeper and more complicated, and honestly, more shocking the more you hear. Let me tell you what just came out, because honestly, this one caught a lot of people off guard. So apparently, Prince Harry is now involved in a serious legal issue, and not just with anyone, but with his own charity. Yes, the same charity he created in honor of Princess Diana. And honestly, if that is not messier, then what is? Now, the whole thing started with confusion, because people were like, wait, what actually happened? Nobody seems to know the full details yet, and that's exactly what is making everything feel even more suspicious. They are calling it a defamation issue, but at the same time, no one is clearly explaining what Harry actually said or did. So right now, it's just confusion, chaos, and a lot of unanswered questions. Then we have Angela Levin, who knows Harry quite well, and even she is saying this might be something small that has been blown away out of proportion. But at the same time, something must have happened, because you don't just take someone to court for no reason, especially not in a situation involving a charity. And then we have the woman at the center of all this, Sophia, who is reportedly very upset, not just a little annoyed, but genuinely angry about how she was treated. And from what people are hinting, this didn't even started as a legal issue. It started with behavior, attitude, and respect, or rather a lack of respect. Apparently, Harry has been coming across as rude lately. That's the word people keep using. Difficult, not easy to work with, and not very pleasant. And Sophie simply wasn't willing to tolerate that. And honestly, you can understand that, but at the same time, taking things all the way to court is where people start asking questions. Because let's be real, we have all dealt with rude people at work before, right? But you don't immediately jump into filing a lawsuit. So clearly, something deeper must have been happening behind the scenes to push things this far. And then of course, there is the money issue, which makes everything even more complicated. Reports say that a lot of money has been spent, like hundreds of thousands, maybe even close to $1 million. One consultant or advisor, and Harry alongside with his co-founder is not happy about it. They believe that the charity's money is being wasted instead of actually helping the people it was meant for. So, when you combine financial tension with personal conflict, it creates a very serious situation. But it doesn't stop there, because Meghan Markle is also being pulled into this drama, and as always, when Meghan's name comes up, things get even more intense. Apparently, when Meghan met Sophie, things were not exactly friendly. There was tension, and people are saying Meghan didn't treat her very well either. There is even talk about a polo charity event where Meghan allegedly made sure she was front and center, even pushing Sophie out of the spotlight during their photos. And if that's true, then honestly, it's not a good look at all. So now, you have attitude issues, power struggles, money problem, and public drama all happening at once, and it really doesn't seem like this situation will end up quietly. And the more people look into it, the more it feels like this tension didn't just appear suddenly. It seems like it has been building up for a long time. So apparently, Sophie felt undermined over time. Imagine being a leadership role, trying to manage a charity properly, and constantly feeling disrespected or sidelined by the very people who founded it. That kind of frustration builds up slowly until it finally explodes. And that is what many people believe happened here. But even with all that, many are still questioning whether going to court was the right move, especially because the charity is supposed to help vulnerable children, particularly those affected by HIV and AIDS. And now, instead of headlines about helping those children, everything is about lawsuit and drama. And that's not a good look for anyone involved. At the same time, Harry is already dealing with other legal battles, including cases against media outlets. So now it's like one issue after another, one lawsuit after another, and people are starting to wonder if this is becoming a pattern because of some point. It's no longer just bad luck, it starts to affect reputation and credibility. And of course, this also affects the royal family because whether they like it or not, Harry is still connected to them, and every headlines reflect back on them. And from what people are saying, King Charles and Prince William are not interested in getting involved. In fact, it seems like they are creating even more distance. And honestly, the more situations like this keep happening, the more permanent the distance starts to feel. Then there is the issue of Harry and Meghan doing what people call unofficial royal tours. They travel, they make appearances, they act in a royal-like way, but without actually being working royals, and some people are not happy about it at all. For example, in places like Australia, there are already questions about why they should host or support them at all. And to make things worse, the messaging around those trips have been inconsistent, which just adds to the confusion. And then we come back to the money again, because that's another major issue. Reports say Harry has struggled to sell tickets for his event, even lowering prices. Meanwhile, Meghan is said to be charging very high amounts for exclusive meetings. And people are noticing the contradiction. On one hand, it's about service and helping people, and on the other hand, it's luxury and high prices. And honestly, perception is everything, because whether all of this is completely true or not, the image being created is not a good one. It feels like everything they do ends up becoming controversial. Every appearance, every project, every more turns into headlines. And now, people are not even surprised anymore. They are just tired, because this charity Sensible was not supposed to be something meaningful, something connected to Princess Diana's legacy, something positive. And now, even that is surrounded by drama, and that's why the decision feels different. It's not just getting messier, it's disappointing. And at the same point, it's not even about who is right or wrong, it's about the pattern. Every disagreement turns into something bigger, every issue becomes public, and people are starting to notice that. Now, bring Meghan back into the picture, because whether directly or indirectly, she is always part of the conversation. There is this growing idea that Harry is trying to prove something, trying to show strength, but instead it's coming across as chaotic. And instead of looking powerful, it's starting to look unstable, because on other moments it's lawsuit, the next moment is speeches, then charity issues, then public appearance that feels staged. So people are asking, what is the actual plan? And even public events are not getting the same reaction anymore. The excitement isn't there like before. People are still watching, yes, but not with admiration, more like curiosity, waiting to see what happens next. And that's a dangerous position to be in, because once people stop respecting you and start just watching your chaos, it becomes very difficult to rebuild that respect. And from the royal family side, their silence says everything. No defense, no reaction, just distance. And the longer this continues, the more it feels like the separation is becoming permanent, because at the end of the day, this isn't just about headlines anymore, it's about long-term consequences. Legal battles cost money, reputation affects opportunities, public trust matters, and when all of this starts to break down, it becomes a serious problem. And honestly, the saddest part in all of this is the charity itself, because the whole point of Sensible was to help children who truly need support. And instead of focusing on them, everything is now being about drama, conflict, and court cases. And that is where people are really shaking their heads, because in the end, all this noise all this attention is not helping the people who matter most. So many may it so maybe it started small, maybe it was just tension or misunderstanding, but the way it has grown, the way it has been handled, that's what turned into something much bigger. And now it's out there for everyone to see. Another chapter in a story that jokes keeps getting more complicated and more harder to ignore.